Hey there, crafty crew. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to learn how to make wax crumble. Now, wax crumble can be used on its own in a wax warmer, or you can use it in any of your dessert candles or dessert wax melts. As usual, if you have any questions or crafty requests, please leave them down below in the comments. Here is everything that we're going to need to make our wax crumble. Fragrance oil. This is strawberry cheesecake from Virginia Candle Supply. A small, thick plastic or glass bowl to measure our fragrance into. A scale. Swiss roll molds. A pastry cutter or soap cutter. A thermometer. A pouring pitcher. A metal spoon. A stirring tool. Paper towels. Candle dye. This is brown liquid candle dye from Waxy Flower Candle Supply. A wax of your choosing. Be sure that this wax is going to be hard enough for you to work with, so preferably a tart wax or a very hard container wax. A way to melt your wax like a double boiler or a Presto pot. And lastly, something to store or package your wax crumble in when it's finished. I'm using this wax crumble for a larger project, so I'm going to store it in these 1 quart mason jars. Everything will be linked down below so it's easier to find. Now we can get into the process. First, we will melt our wax according to our supplier or manufacturer guidelines or suggestions. If you're using the double boiler method, be sure to weigh out the amount of wax that you need before you begin the melting process. That way, this goes a little bit easier for you. While our wax is heating, we will go ahead and weigh out our fragrance. In this case, I will be using 10 ounces of wax for each Swiss roll mold, and my fragrance load is 10%. So I will be using 2 ounces of fragrance oil. Please follow whatever fragrance load recommendation your wax has. If you need to find what your ideal or recommended fragrance load is, please check your supplier's website. Then when our wax has reached the appropriate temperature, we can weigh out what we need into our pouring pitcher. We will also add our candle dye in right now. Today, we're going for a bit of a lighter brown, like a crust. So we're going to add a little bit of this brown, stir it in, and then we're going to check to see if this is the color that we're looking for. After we've stirred our dye in, the way that we're going to check the color is to take just a little bit of this wax and put it on this paper towel. Doing this will give us a pretty good idea of what our dye will look like once our wax has fully set. Now we will add our fragrance and stir that in well. If you normally add your fragrance at a lower temperature, please check the temperature until it reaches where you need it to be before adding your fragrance. Once our fragrance has been added and stirred in very well, we will pour as equal amounts as possible into each Swiss roll mold, and we will keep a very close eye on these. While it cools, we will take our metal spoon and scrape the bottom of each mold very carefully. This is going to detach any cooled wax from the bottom of the mold. As we continue scraping the wax from the bottom of the Swiss roll molds, it will begin to thicken and almost coagulate. This is exactly what we're looking for. When the wax begins to reach more of a thick dough consistency, we will continue manipulating the wax because we do not want this to stick together and become one large chunk. This is also when we will begin making almost a chopping motion with our metal spoon. The harder and closer it gets to completely hardening, the more we want to continue this chopping motion. When the wax has pretty much cooled down entirely, this is when we want to grab our pastry cutter and begin chopping even more. This can be chopped as large or as small as you would like. After we have chopped almost to the exact point that we want it, we're going to leave it overnight. When we come back the next day, we're going to take either our spoon or our pastry cutter and slide that underneath the very bottom of our crumble and flip it. There will be some pieces that are flat, and that is okay. We're going to go ahead and chop through this a couple of times to get it exactly how we want it. Once it is completely chopped and exactly how we like it, we can package or store it for later. And that's all there is to it. If you enjoyed this video or you learned something today, go ahead and drop a like. And if you would like to see future videos, go ahead and subscribe. Happy making!